Anyone? Still nothing. All right. Maybe this is a fail. All right. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. Enough of this nonsense. It sounds like you guys can hear me now. So, sorry, I think my microphone was slightly unplugged, so it might help to have that plugged in if you're going to try to do a YouTube stream. Go figure. But anyways, thank you guys for 100,000 subscribers. It feels pretty cool to make it to this milestone. Now Bitcoin has my permission to go to 100K. We did an April Fool's video earlier this year, some point, and it was a race to 100K. So I can say that I beat it. I beat Bitcoin to 100K. But we'll see if Bitcoin can ultimately surge back and catch up. So where are we, right? Where are we? So Bitcoin obviously has been coming down a little bit, which again is fine. We're going to have these periods where it does this, and one of the cool things about this type of move, as you guys are keenly aware at this point, think about all the different coins that you may hold. Think about how much they've moved over the last few weeks. We've talked about this a lot. We've talked about, like altcoin paradise. It's when Bitcoin finally stops, just stay. And then that's when altcoins can move, right? This is when altcoins can move. And whenever Bitcoin volatility picks back up in the slightest, then altcoins get spooked a little bit. Ethereum, at least when Bitcoin starts moving up, Ethereum seems to be going along with it. But the major Ethereum moves, as you guys have noticed, tend to occur when Bitcoin is not moving. So that tends to be the case. But anyways, so far, Bitcoin has entered into a downtrend, and until that's definitively broken, then I would say the more likely scenario is that maybe we pump back up, but until we see a definitive break where it continues on, it seems like it's more than likely to keep going this route for a little while. Not financial advice. I don't really know, and I don't try to predict short-term moves, but momentum, you have to break the momentum down at some point, and we haven't done that yet. But as far as I'm concerned, this is fine, right? Who cares? This is fine. And one of the things that we know is that it will not go up monotonically, right? We know this. There are going to be bumps along the way. The nice thing about this, Ethereum has been a champ during this time. Ethereum, it's printing its new mountain in the Ethereum mountain range here, and it's getting pretty high, right? The mountains here are starting to get pretty high, and air's getting thin. We'll see how high we can go. Let's actually put on the rainbow that we talked about. So, first of all, let me say this, because I know people are going to comment. At the end of the day, these lines are somewhat useless, okay? At the end of the day, they're somewhat useless, and we have to be aware of that. We can't pretend like these lines are going to help us definitively tell some specific narrative. We have to be honest with ourselves and say, Ethereum has only experienced one market cycle, and it's hard to really know where a theoretical peak could be, right? It's hard to really know. In the same way, when we talk about Bitcoin, we have a lot of data for our lower band, right? And let's actually put that on here. So here are our Bitcoin logarithmic regression bands. So we have a lot of data for down here, and for here, and for here. And it helped us, we fit it through here, and it helped us so far identify the reaccumulation phase, right? We talked about this. We have to remain pragmatic with the upper line, okay? When we started this, we didn't really know, we just had the lower bound one. This upper line, we have to be careful. It's only fit to 3 data points, okay? It's simply only fit to 3 data points. So I would say the best course of action as we navigate the market cycle is to somewhat be flexible, okay? Somewhat be flexible, because we don't know that the peak has to reach this band. We also don't know that it can't go above the band. We simply, all this is, it's not magic. All it is a fit to those 3 data points according to this equation. It's all it is. So we need to be flexible, I would say, during this cycle, and not definitively say that, okay, it has to peak exactly in the band. So keep that in mind. And that goes for the upside and the downside. It doesn't mean that I'm implying that it has to go above it. It could mean that it doesn't make it to it. But the point is after a 4th cycle peak and a 5th cycle peak, then hopefully things will become even more evident than they currently are. But anyways, this is our equation. X is just the number of days that we're measuring. A and B are simply fitted coefficients, right? Call it like CX, where we have C1 and C2. I just call them A and B. So we need to keep that in mind. Let's maintain some degree of flexibility as we navigate the cycle. With that said, Bitcoin, if the idea is that we're going to the peak regression band at some point, which obviously a lot of us would like, we have not yet reached escape velocity, okay? Maybe we've entered into low Earth orbit up here. Maybe this is low Earth orbit. This is not escape velocity. Escape velocity is what you need to basically, what velocity do you need to go to overcome the Earth's gravitational pull? So in order to get there, we've simply not reached it to get to this point at the top, which we would ultimately like to go. And we know, again, that the peak regression band is a monotonically increasing function. It currently ranges from 55,922 up to 82,405. So it's a pretty wide range. For instance, we could, if we were to go to the bottom of the band, there's still another 50% move up that we could get once reaching the bottom of the band and still be within this uncertainty band. And remember that these are continuing to move up. So as time progresses, right, these will continue to do something like this. By the end of 2021, it might range from 70K to over 100K. As it continues on out, it's going to increase continuously. And it's just a matter of, do we have enough momentum at any given stage of the market cycle to make it there, right? And so far, we have not, right? In 2019, we did not make it. We didn't even come close. We were, as measured from the regression band at the time, the peak, the funny thing is at the peak in 2019, the lower part of the regression band was only $28,000. And from there, we were below it by about a modest 50%. Here, we have, so far, we came to within about 25, we were 25% below it. So we still did not quite make it. Maybe the next time we will. I don't know. But we still have not quite made it to the peak part of the regression band. One of the things we'll obviously show, where is our bull market support? Here it is. Now this is important because the bull market support band is now over 20K. Of course on the BLX it actually shows 19.4K, but it's 20K. The bull market support band more or less ranges from 20K to 22K. Someone says my mic is a little loud. I mean, then just turn your volume down, right? Hello, testing. I don't know. Hopefully it works, whatever. Maybe I just made it louder. So, sorry, I was just looking at the comments. Anyways, the bull market support band now ranges from 20K to around 22K. This is important. Why is it important? Well, it means that as measured from this point, from our prior top, the bull market support band essentially is at that level. So what it means is if this correction continues, this is where we would want to hold as support, right? This is what we would want to hold as support in the event of a correction to maintain the integrity of the bull market. So if this continues and we keep trending down, this, if the bulls haven't come out to fight by that point, that would be where we would want to come out to hold the line, okay? That would be where the bulls want to come out to hold the line in the event of a correction. Again, we don't know when the correction's coming. We've already entered into some type of correction because we have, in fact, gone down by over 30% from the top to the bottom of the wick. So the people in my comment section that were telling me the days of 30% corrections are over, well, Bitcoin had to say about that. So now the question is it sustainable, right? Is this a sustainable 20K? This is obviously the question that everyone wants to know. We don't know yet, right? We simply do not know yet. What we have to do is at some point, either next week, next month, 3 months from now, at some point, we need to test the bull market support band and hold it as support. We sort of held it as support here. We didn't really get that close to it, but let's just give it that one. We held it as support here. Another test of support, and if we hold it as support, and let's say we hold it as support for, say, 2 or 3 months or something, I think this will be very bullish for Bitcoin, if in fact it can hold it as support for an extended period of time. So we have to be pragmatic in the sense that, I don't know exactly when a correction will take us to the 20-week, but rest assured it is coming at some point. And when it happens, we need to hold the line to maintain the integrity of the bull market. And if we don't, then those who are overexposed in altcoins are not going to be in a good position. So it's all about managing your risk. You might say, well, why do you hold more Bitcoin than any other coin? It's managing the risk to the downside. Yeah, you can gain a lot theoretically on altcoins, and we talk about a lot of altcoins. Cardano, Polkadot, and Chainlink, these things are making a lot of us a lot of money because we took the risk and it's paying off. Who's been following along on those? If you've been following the channel for a while, these are the 3 main coins we've talked about for over a year, except for DOT because it hasn't been around as long, at least on the open market. ADA is up 17x or more since we started talking about it. DOT, we even made videos before the breakout saying that this is the accumulation phase, and we'll look back at this and say, what a nice accumulation phase. Link. What is there, what can you say about Link? Link is a champ through and through. I mean, it continues to be one of the best performing coins in the market, by far. And the Link Bitcoin valuation, if you look at its exponential fit, which again, we know is a dubious fit, we're not going to claim that Link is going to go up exponentially against Bitcoin forever, right? So if that's the argument, obviously that's the case. However, in terms of having high expectations for Link, let's give it that threshold and say, you know what? It's probably not going to hold forever. We know it's not going to hold forever, but let's see how long it holds. And in the same way that we had a Link bubble against Bitcoin, we had a Bitcoin bubble against Link. This was the first time, we had really gone this far down below the regression line, and it also goes in line with the fact that we simply do not know how Link will behave in a bull market. If we did, it would make these things a lot easier, but we simply do not know how Link will behave in a bull market. My general thesis is that Ethereum is one market cycle behind Bitcoin in terms of volatility. And it's not even really that much of a thesis. At this point, we're seeing it continuously play out, and hopefully it continues to play out like that, but so far, so good. The market cycle, or the ROI from market cycle bottom is higher than it is for Ethereum, or it's higher for Ethereum than it is for Bitcoin. But again, it's not really fair because Ethereum capitulated more than Bitcoin, so you're not really, do you punish Bitcoin for not capitulating as far? It's hard to say. Maybe punishing it is not the right word, but in terms of, say, in terms of an investment opportunity at the bottom, Ethereum has ultimately yielded a higher ROI. Those are just the facts. Ether Bitcoin. Remember the end of December, right? We said this, and here we are. Back at the top of the accumulation band. Okay. When we were over here, we said, this will be our future accumulation phase. Our future reaccumulation phase against Bitcoin will essentially be somewhat between 0.027, 0.028, up to around 0.042 or 042 or 043. This is where I would say that I think, and I said this a year ago, that we should spend a decent amount of time in this channel. However, we've also been moving up systematically in this trend line that we've more or less had drawn for over a year as well. So back up to the top. It feels good to be back at the top of the band, right? It feels a lot better being up here than it does down here. But even when we were down here, we saw the opportunity for what it was. And we said, you know what? This is December. Ethereum does trend down against Bitcoin in December. We've experienced this cycle after cycle. And we could probably call these sub-cycles because they're not exactly full market cycles by any stretch of the imagination. But a Q4 bleed of Ether Bitcoin is business as usual, folks. Q4 bleed. Again, a Q4 bleed. A third one. A fourth one. What's one more? What's one more Q4 bleed of Ethereum against Bitcoin? If it's followed by yet another Fuary or Ethuary, whatever you want to call it, right? Where Ethereum gains back what it lost and more. Look at this. I mean, Ether Bitcoin bled here, and it ultimately gained it all back in January and February. It lost a lot here, and then in January and February, it gained it all back. A lot of times this happens. This has happened, many times for Ethereum, and it ultimately gains it back in Q1. We've seen this happen so many times. It also happened last year, and we talked about it last year. It bled in Q4 from October through December, and then January came, and February. And came to the rescue. And then it's had a pretty choppy 2020. It came to the top and the bottom of the band several times. Now, is the top of this channel a theoretical top in the short term? Absolutely not, right? We could easily trend higher. Will we trend higher? I have no idea. But if the idea is we can't break these imaginary lines that I drew a year and a half ago, well, we already broke it. We already came down below. So maybe we'll overextend and come back up. That would be nice to see Ethereum continue to extend. One of the things we discussed in terms of looking at Bitcoin's move, by the way, if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe. Now that we're at 100,000 subscribers, I don't really know what the next obvious milestone is. 200,000 subscribers. But anyways, make sure you guys subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Now, when Bitcoin first approached its prior all-time high, what did it do? And we've been following this for Ethereum as well. And so far, it's been playing out. In fact, it came to the top. It then dumped back down. And after it dumped, it dumped over a day or two. And it dumped 17%. But it ultimately came back up and went above its prior top by approximately 2% 5 days later. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Okay, so we're going to go take a look at Ethereum now. What did Ethereum do? Same thing. Same exact thing so far. Came to the local top, the prior global top, down about 28%. So again, it's basically just an extended version of Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin came down 16% over a day once it got to its prior all-time high. Ethereum came down 28% over 3 days once it got to its prior all-time high. And then from the bottom, what happened? Bitcoin went back up 21%. Or as measured from the prior top, it pumped another 1 to 2%. What did Ethereum do? Well, exactly 5 days later, it got back up to the prior top. 6 days later, it went even higher. And if you look at how much higher it went than the prior top, let's look. So this was the prior top. It went between 2 to 3% higher. So there have been a lot of similarities. And we said that, as Ethereum approaches $1,400, it might take it a little while to convincingly break through. Okay? Because Bitcoin over here came to the prior all-time high. It then went up to almost 20K. And then it took it another, 10 days? It took it 10 more days before it broke it. So And over those 10 days, it more or less just trended sideways around that level. It dumped back down to around, let's see, so from the top, it dumped another 11%, 11 to 12%, and then ultimately went on this massive run where it ultimately printed another 2x from the top. No, sorry, we don't do merchandise here. Leave that for the other channels. It's a bunch of nonsense that we're not going to waste our time on. Anyways, okay, so we have 10 days for after Bitcoin went to 20K, came back down a modest 11.5% before printing another 2x or so. So can the same thing be expected for Ethereum? Well, we don't know, right? I mean, obviously we've said that Ethereum could divert on its own path and not continue to follow Bitcoin. But if it followed Bitcoin and it took it 10 days, then it might correspond to breaking out in February. And if we went down, say 11%, maybe it would go back down to around 1,300. Though if it were to continue in the same fashion as Bitcoin, where Ethereum volatility is slightly more, maybe it would go down even more, like down to $1,200 or so, which would be closer to 20%. I don't really know. The point is I think ultimately over the grand scheme of a market cycle, Ethereum should theoretically trend higher than $1,400. It's not financial advice. I could be wrong. But I think over the grand market cycle, we have a long way to go. The question is will there be, I mean, this has been an amazing run for Ethereum. And what I would like to see, I don't always get what I want, right? Let's be clear about that. I don't always get what I want. For instance, if I got what I want, I would hope that that all the I'm sure you guys see all the scammers in the chat room or in the chat, like spamming like their phone numbers and stuff. I try to get rid of as many of them as I can, but they're like you block one and then 3 more pop up. So it's hard to really navigate that. But just know all of that is a scam. I'm never going to send out my number or anything like that on here. No, we're not doing merchandise. The only thing we are going to do, I think, at least in the short term, is we will launch an NFT. So if you don't know what those are, maybe Google it over the next, sometime over the next few weeks. We'll probably do an NFT. Yeah, thank you guys for reporting those people in the chat, because they're everywhere. And they're on all sorts of channels too. If you guys look at other channels besides crypto, they're on those channels as well. A lot of like finance channels, you'll find them everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. What I would personally like to see, again, I don't always get what I want. A lot of times I don't. But if I did get what I wanted, what I would like to see is I would like to see Bitcoin at least hold on for a few more weeks. If it's going to capitulate back to the 20-week. I don't know if it's going to go back to the 20-week in the short term or not. But if we operated deterministically and said, okay, we will test the 20-week within the next month or two. If we operated deterministically, which is probably somewhat we shouldn't do, but if we did, then I would hope that Bitcoin could at least hold on for a few more weeks. And the reason is because in those few weeks, I think it would be amazing what could happen in the rest of the market. Okay, so Ethereum, I think if Bitcoin were to just calm down for a few weeks, Ethereum could go into price discovery mode and really start navigating its way to $2,000, which who doesn't want to see a $2,000 Ethereum? And I think that if Ethereum becomes comfortable at $1,300 to $1,400, kind of like Bitcoin became comfortable at 19.3 for 10 days before ultimately breaking out to 42K. If Ethereum becomes comfortable between $1,300 and $1,400 and does that for a week or two, I think that's good for altcoins. I think that would actually be really good for altcoins. Generally speaking, when Bitcoin is super volatile, a lot of other coins won't be, and then Ethereum can start to move. But if Ethereum is moving like crazy, as I'm sure you guys have seen over the last few days, whenever Ethereum starts pumping like crazy, a lot of other coins stop. in the same manner that Ethereum stops pumping when Bitcoin volatility goes to the roof. So if Bitcoin and Ethereum stay still, altcoins will likely do well. If Ethereum starts running, it's not that altcoins will necessarily perform badly, but they probably won't be putting in the type of gains you might otherwise want to see, because a lot of that money will simply be flooding into Ethereum. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, we'll want to keep an eye on the Ethereum-Bitcoin ratio. We've had 4, by the way, make sure you guys subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. Sorry, let me just read the chat. Sorry, we have some scammers in the chat I gotta get rid of. It's a shame that they show up, but that's what they do. So someone says, how do you tell the scammers apart? So if you see people in the chat that are posting like phone numbers and stuff, first of all, I'm never posting my phone number in the chat. Second of all, if you click on their profile picture, they have like 0 subscribers. So if you're ever not sure if it's me, which like 99% of the time it's not me, because I don't tend to leave a lot of comments in the chat, because I'm usually just working on the next video. But if you're not sure, click on the profile, and almost like 99 times out of 100, it's not me. You'll see that it's someone who has like no videos, and they literally just created the account like, you know, an hour before they posted it. Yeah, they basically pretend to be. It's not just me. It's like every crypto YouTuber, every person out there has someone. Yeah, it's not me. It's not me. So if you find yourself thinking it's me, it's not me. Most likely it's not me. Okay, so the question now, right, is, okay, well, can it go higher? Obviously, that will depend on Bitcoin. As always, if Bitcoin can hold on for a few more weeks, then I think it can. I think it can. One of the things we've discussed endlessly are these monthly candles. If you look at, say, the 20-month, that's the 20-month. Let's pull up the 50-month as well. So we made it, right? We made it to our, our goalpost that we discussed of going from the 20-month up to the 50-month. Yeah, someone says even the YouTube commercials before channels have scam commercials. That's actually one of the main reasons I don't have ads on my channel, right? Have any of you guys ever seen an ad on my channel? I hope not. I've never enabled them. But anyways, we made it to the 50-month, and the reason that was important was because that was where we topped last time. However, we said that Ethereum can slice through this like butter, or cut through it like butter, and so far it seems to have done that. So if we go to the top of the channel, which again is an imaginary line, it would correspond to around 0.047 or so. So 0.047, I mean, obviously it would depend on the price of Bitcoin at the time, but 0.047 times, let's say the price of Bitcoin is 32,000, that would correspond to a $1,500 Ethereum if it were to go, say, to the top of the channel, which we almost made it to, by the way. I mean, we got pretty close. We made it to around 0.045 or so. All right. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, I think this will ultimately depend on if Bitcoin volatility calms down. You know, if Bitcoin gets comfortable again at 32K. Do you guys see what's happening though? Like, I mean, yeah, Bitcoin could break back out to the upside. We don't want to discount that. But what has been happening is it drops down, and then it comes back up, and then altcoins fly, and then it drops down, and then it goes sideways, and altcoins fly, and then it drops down, and then it goes sideways, and then the idea is you just keep repeating the cycle until one day it either says, all right, enough with this, and it goes up, leaving altcoins in the dust again, or it goes down, also leaving altcoins in the dust with respect to their Bitcoin valuations. So that's something to keep in mind. So it's hopefully it can last a few more weeks, because as we said, you know, the longer it lasts, the longer I think we'll see these other coins really start to make significant moves. Some of the ones that we follow. So yeah, I know the sound was off earlier. Hopefully it should be working now. No, we're not doing super chats. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to decouple. I don't think these things are going to decouple from Bitcoin. There's times when it'll seem like they're decoupled from Bitcoin, but that's only because Bitcoin's just trending sideways. When Bitcoin makes a super volatile move to the upside or the downside, you'll quickly see that they are still very much dependent on what Bitcoin's doing. I don't know. I don't know why the mic is off. Does the sound? Is it still a weird sound? All right. Anyways, so that's ultimately what we're looking at for um, I don't know what to say. Like, half the people say the sound's fine. Half the people say, not even half the people say it's not good. I'll try to check it out later. I'm sure there must be something going on if I'm seeing like 20 people complain about it. So obviously there's something going on. I'll try to figure it out after the stream. All right, yeah, let's look at levels of overextension. I've seen a lot of people ask for it, so we'll go ahead and look at it. We actually just published a video on some of this, but let's look at it. Let's pull up the BLX. This is our BLX. We'll hide the support band. Here's the regression rainbow if you guys want to see it. So far, we've remained intact here with negative 2.5 log lines each cycle, and again we're negative 2.5 log lines there. I don't think that's the top of the cycle by any means. I feel like there's a decent chance that this trend will ultimately break, but it's interesting. I mean, these are, you know, obviously these are increasing, so even if we were to come down, we could come back up to it later, and maybe later it would be 100K or something. So I don't think this is the peak of the market cycle by any stretch of the imagination, but we always need to keep an open mind. So let's go back and put on this one, and then we'll put on the other indicator. So this is the log of the difference basically, or the division. So let's look at this trend line and see kind of where it's stacking up right now. We have to look at it on the daily time frame to actually capture the downtrend as accurately as possible, because weekly trends don't look that good. So it looks more, you know, something more or less like this, right, where you have the peak, another peak, third peak, And you can see that according to this type of analysis, we're not at the peak. Is this analysis somewhat dubious? Of course it is. But you still have to consider that the extension from the quote-unquote fair value is getting not as far away each cycle. This is what makes me think, this is one of the reasons why I don't think that 42K is the peak of the cycle. We're still fairly far down here. And we still would have a long way to go, in fact. Let's see at the present day, where would the price need to go to get to the same level of overextension, or to come to this macro trend line down. So all we have to do is look at the fair value, and the fair value is 11,512. Obviously, I'm not saying that Bitcoin's only worth that, but let's say the log of the price divided by 11,512 would need to equal, maybe like right at this point, which right now corresponds to about 1.46. So if it went to 1.46, what would that put the price of Bitcoin today if it went there? Well, it actually put it around 50K. So if Bitcoin went to 50K tomorrow, then it would actually come up to the top of the trend line. However, remember, the fair value is increasing continuously, so as long as we don't go to 50K tomorrow, then if we do something like this and then come up later, at this point it'll be completely different because the fair value will be a lot higher. So that's one thing to consider. Another thing that we just did a video on, but we'll bring it up here too just for the sake of completeness. We'll go to the weekly time frame. Make sure you guys subscribe and give the video a thumbs up if you guys like the content. Also, we have a Telegram channel with almost 14,000 people. You guys are looking for a chat community that's fairly well moderated. Check it out. I just posted it in the chat. I don't know what's wrong with the sound. I'm sorry. I'll figure it out later. Someone said, can I extend it out? Here, you can see it extended out. I don't recommend, you can see where the fair value is. So, like right now, the fair value is close to 11.5. By the end of 2021, it'll be close to 20K. You continue going out to say the end of 2022, the fair value will be 30K. The end of 2023, the fair value will be closer to 50K. And so it always depends on the extension from the fair value, right? So that's what it ultimately depends on, the extension from the fair value. Let me play with a couple settings. Does this sound any better, or is this worse? Is this worse? Okay, so people say it's better. All right, we'll stick with this one for a little bit. Okay, so the other thing we want to look at, which we talked about on a video today, in fact, is our log of the price over the 20-week. So again, if you look at the macro trend down, we more or less reached, if you look from each cycle, the extension from the 20-week tends to go down. All right. right. Someone named Roth. Okay, I need to let me turn on slow mode because some people are getting a little bit they're overdoing it a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna boot Roth Bean because it just keeps spamming the same message. So goodbye. All right, so this is the extension from the 20-week. One thing to note is that, it doesn't, I mean, this cycle we had the first peak was actually more extended from the 20-week than the second peak, but ultimately it was the second peak that took us to the upper regression line. So obviously it's not a perfect line. Obviously it'll break at some point, but more or less each cycle, the extension from the 20-week seems to be somewhat diminishing. Whether you like it or not, right? That's just what it shows. We could look at the same thing for Ethereum. So here's the extension from the 20-week for Ethereum. It's hard to know. I mean, it's really hard to know. There's just not a whole lot of data, right? If there were more data, it would be a lot more simplistic. There's not really a whole lot of data. But maybe something to keep an eye on, right? Just something to keep an eye on. All models are wrong. Some are useful, right? And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like all these models are going to tell you where the top is, because they won't. But if you look at enough of them, maybe you can start to form your own opinions rather than taking any one person's word for it. But I mean, obviously, there's not really a whole lot of data for Ethereum. We can't really say for sure. But I mean, if something like this trend line were to be a macro trend line down or something, we might want to consider it. I don't know if that would make sense, but let's see where that would be, right? Might as well. We've come this far. So according to this, the 20-week SMA is at 670.60. So let's do that. We'll say the natural log of x over 670.60 equals, let's say we go back up to the top of it. 1.2. 1.2. Where does that put us? It would put Ether at a modest $2,200. So if Ethereum were to go to $2,200 tomorrow, then we would come up to this trend line. If it were to do it, say, a few weeks from now, then the 20-week moving average would obviously be much higher. Let's suppose that by the time that were to happen, then maybe the 20-week moving average is at $800, and it went up to, say, let's say it went up to 1.18. Then it would put the price of Ethereum at $2,600. That'd be a pretty nice day for Ethereum if it reached that level. But anyways, so we'll go ahead and take that one off. Here's the regression rainbow for Ethereum. Again, it's somewhat useless. There's not really a whole lot of data to look at, but the green band is our accumulation band. I don't anticipate us being able to make it to this band. Okay, so that's the first thing. Because if you look at Bitcoin's bands, the rainbow, as we said before, each cycle tends to drop down a couple of log bands, 2.5. Obviously, these are not exactly the same as the ones we have for Ethereum, and they're also wider for Ethereum. But I wouldn't expect it to be able to make it to the top band at the very least. And to give you an idea of how exceedingly difficult it would be to make it there, the range for the top band right now is like 8,500 to 16,000 if we were to go there today, which I don't think is simply, I don't think that's true. I feel like there's a good chance we don't make it to this band ever again either. It doesn't mean that the price can't eventually make it to where the prices are, these bands are right now, because these are increasing, right? These other bands are increasing. It might just take longer for us to get there. Where are we now? We're right at around 14. I mean, obviously the price right now is 1360, but we came up to right at the top the yellow one. But, you know, I mean, it's theoretically possible that we navigate into the orange one. It would ultimately result in another 2x if we went to the top of it. But we'll have to see what happens. And again, it all depends on Bitcoin. It all depends on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes sideways for a few months, few weeks, there's a higher likelihood that Ethereum can continue trending up. So it ultimately depends on what Bitcoin does. I mean, who remembers the end of December? Because I sure do, and this is such a nice thing to see, completely wiping out all the Q4 losses of Ether against Bitcoin. Make sure you guys subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Someone said plot your subscriber growth divided by Bitcoin. I've actually done that before. If you go back and look at the April Fool's video on April 1st of 2020, I plotted my subscriber growth divided by the price of Bitcoin. Yeah, sorry for making you guys yawn, but my 3-month-old did not sleep very well last night, so I had to get him a bottle at like 1 a.m. and like 4 a.m. Someone says ADA is underperforming right now. Again, I mean, as measured from March, it's like the best performer that out of the coins we follow. CMG says, are we live streaming for a reason tonight? It was basically to celebrate 100,000 subscribers and just talk about crypto. Wow. Someone says, why are you getting your child a bottle in the middle of the night? Don't you have a wife for that? Believe it or not, the husband can do that type of stuff too. As mind-blowing as that may seem. Yeah, we'll see. So Link is doing really well still. Do I also clean and cook? I cook some. I'm not the best cleaner if I'm being completely honest, but okay, so Ethereum or Link looks good. It's at 23. Link is doing really well against Bitcoin still. ADA, ADA's doing this. It basically goes on these runs and then it just cools off for a while. But I mean, it's still climbing the ladder. Actually, it might be interesting to do a bar pattern here. Let's just see. We'll see what happens. I don't know, something like that maybe. That'd be nice. I mean, ADA Bitcoin was in a pretty nice accumulation phase here for a while, and then back out again. Oh my gosh. Everyone's commenting about my hair. Actually, I think I've convinced my wife to not paint our new Subaru yellow, so I will write that off as a win. No, my wife's not at home right now. She's actually at work. My wife actually has a doctorate too, believe it or not. All right. I mean, yeah. I mean, the markets aren't really doing anything tonight, so I don't really know if there's going to be a whole lot to talk about. One interesting thing we've discussed before. So just let's maintain some level of pragmatism here. But the idea that maybe Dot is following in Ethereum's footsteps, right? Ethereum, I don't know, not financial advice. You do what you want. Could be wrong, could be right. Who really knows? Um, these are daily candles. So, yeah, so this was Ethereum's launch. And it more or less did that thing where it came back up to the top, but then ultimately rallied on much higher. And just look at this. I mean, like, Ethereum launched in August of 2015. It went down and then did not start its move until January. Dot, really similar, right? It came up, trended down, and then started moving up in January. Obviously, where you draw this line specifically is up for interpretation, where you want to draw it here or here. I don't really know. But so far, it looks pretty similar. So far. They might not play out exactly the same. Obviously, each cycle is different. But if you just look at that chart and that chart, there are a lot of similarities between DOT Bitcoin and Ether Bitcoin. Yeah, we looked at the Ethereum Bitcoin log chart. I mean, it's on a log scale, right? But no, I don't. I mean, so some people are saying, well, is the implication that DOT goes to $1,000 like Ethereum did? No, that's not necessarily the implication, because the market caps of both coins are much higher than they were back then, and it's a lot harder to move these coins with larger market caps. Back when Ethereum went from $1 to 1,500, the market cap it started off at was in the millions. DOT's already in the billions, so you can't compare them exactly. I feel like it's going to be a diminished in terms of the returns. Someone says I need to sit up straight because I'm slouching. I just hit 100,000 subscribers. I think it's okay for me to slouch for a little bit. People keep saying I have double sound. I don't know. I don't know why. Let me listen to it really quick. I'm gonna go to my YouTube channel and listen to it and see what people are talking about. I don't know why. Let me listen to it really quick. I'm gonna go to my YouTube channel. On April 1st of 2020, I plotted my subscriber growth. Yeah, you guys are right. There's a double mic. There's a double mic going on. There's a double mic going on. All right, we'll go to our anxiety chart, our 1 second anxiety chart. Though I don't think it's going to be that super nerve-wracking tonight, considering how little the price is moving. Make sure you guys subscribe. Subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Also, we have the Telegram channel. You guys can find a link to that in the description below. We have over 13,000 people there. And I will post another Telegram channel as well if you guys like micro-cap coins and you guys are looking for a micro-cap community to talk about micro-caps. We have an Into the Crypto Cosm chat. So you guys can check that out too. I'm probably gonna wrap the stream up soon, actually, because I still need to go do a few things, but. All right. Are there any more questions? Let's see. I mean, Bitcoin still hasn't really done much. Still a general trend down so far. Remember, we also have the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com. All right, we've gone over an hour now. Maybe we should wrap it up there. All right, we'll wrap it up. I mean, let's see if Bitcoin does anything. It's still at 32.6. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Make sure you guys subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. We have the Telegram channel. You can find that in the description below. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, thanks for getting me to 100,000 subscribers. I do appreciate it. We'll continue to follow the markets as they evolve. All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye.